People think they understand strength. They think strength looks loud, confident, powerful, untouchable. They think strength drives expensive cars, lives inside glass offices, wins every room before speaking. But sometimes, real strength wakes up before sunrise, makes oatmeal for an 8-year-old girl, fixes broken engines all day, carries grief quietly, and keeps promises nobody else remembers. This is not a story about revenge. Not really. It's a story about what happens when ordinary people survive extraordinary pain. About resilience, about education, about purpose, about the dangerous mistake people make when they confuse kindness with weakness. Because in a quiet Colorado town, a successful business empire decided to make an example out of a man nobody noticed. A widowed father. A mechanic. A man people thought life had already defeated. Then 14 broken vehicles appeared outside his home. Destroyed. Worthless. Left there to embarrass him. To pressure him. To force him to surrender something he refused to sell. What happened next shocked an entire town. Because nobody knew who Elias Mercer really was. Nobody knew what he walked away from. Nobody knew what he carried. Or what happens when someone who survives loss finally stops surviving and starts building. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, overlooked, or forced to rebuild your life when nobody believed in you, this story is for you. Stay until the end. Because the final lesson Elias Mercer teaches might change the way you see your own life. And maybe something even bigger. Because sometimes, people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they stop learning. And sometimes, the people everyone overlooks become the people nobody can ignore. This is a life-changing story. A story about hope in dark places, about resilience through education, about building purpose from pain, and about one quiet father who reminded an entire town that strength doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it simply refuses to quit. Nobody in Ash Hollow, Colorado, expected Elias Mercer to build anything extraordinary with his life. Not after everything that happened. Not after people watched him disappear from the version of life they thought he was supposed to have. Small towns have a way of deciding who you are. And once they decide, changing their minds becomes almost impossible. Ash Hollow sat between long highways and wide stretches of dry land where winter arrived hard and left slowly. People there noticed everything: new cars, missed mortgage payments, divorces, empty houses, especially empty houses. For nearly 7 years, people had watched Elias Mercer live in the old farmhouse near Hollow Creek Road. And after a while, they stopped seeing him, which in some ways was exactly how he preferred it. If you had driven past his place on any ordinary morning, you would not have looked twice. An aging pickup truck, a weathered porch, a detached garage that seemed bigger than the house itself. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that hinted at the truth. Because truth rarely announces itself. Sometimes it waits quietly. Sometimes it hides inside ordinary people. And sometimes, people mistake silence for weakness. That mistake would cost someone everything. But nobody knew that yet. Especially not Vanessa Sterling. Especially not the woman who would soon make the most expensive joke of her entire life. Because 6 months later, the man she tried to humiliate would own the business empire she spent 20 years building. But before that happened, before lawyers, before boardrooms, before a room full of people realized they had misunderstood one quiet man completely, there was a cold October morning. And there was Elias Mercer. Every day began at exactly 5:15. No alarm, no snooze button, no second chances. Years of routine had trained his body better than any clock. He would wake before sunrise, stand quietly beside the kitchen sink. Start coffee. Black, always black. Then, oatmeal. 2 bowls. Never one. The kitchen light inside the farmhouse carried a familiar warmth, the kind built from repetition rather than decoration. People think love always arrives in grand moments. It doesn't. Sometimes love looks like oatmeal before sunrise. Sometimes it sounds like footsteps moving carefully through old wooden floors so an 8-year-old girl can sleep 10 more minutes. At 5:42 every morning, Elias walked down the hallway. 3 soft knocks, always 3, not 2, not 4, 3. A small voice would answer, sometimes tired, sometimes annoyed, always the same. "Dad, I'm awake." Clara Mercer was 8 years old, sharp-eyed, quiet, the kind of child who noticed details adults ignored. She had inherited that from him. She walked through the world carefully, listening before speaking, watching before deciding, thinking before trusting. Life had taught her earlier than most children. Not because her father wanted it that way, because life had wanted it that way. 2 years earlier, Clara had asked him a question he still thought about sometimes. "Dad, why don't we have people over like everyone else?" He remembered standing beside the sink, drying dishes, trying to answer honestly. "Because we're enough right now." She had accepted that answer. Children do that sometimes. They trust your answers long before they understand them. Outside the farmhouse, Ash Hollow slowly woke itself up. School buses, pickup trucks, coffee shops opening downtown, construction crews moving toward highways still dark from morning fog. And every day, Elias Mercer disappeared into that movement. Invisible, ordinary, forgettable. He worked at Hawthorne Mechanical Repair on the edge of town. Not glamorous, not impressive. Trucks, engines, agricultural equipment, hydraulic systems. Whatever came through the doors. His hands carried permanent marks from years of labor. Small scars, calluses, old burns. Evidence of a man who built his life with work instead of words. His boss trusted him. Customers requested him. But outside the garage, people rarely thought about him. Ash Hollow had lawyers, developers, business owners, politicians, people who mattered. Elias Mercer fixed broken machines. People assumed that meant his life had broken too. People assume strange things. The old garage beside his farmhouse told a different story. If someone knew how to look. Metal cabinets lined one wall, every tool placed exactly where it belonged. Precision, order, discipline, no clutter, no wasted movement, no wasted effort. And sitting beside the main workbench was an old steel toolbox, dark gray, edges worn smooth by decades, its paint faded from years of use. Clara never touched it, not because she wasn't allowed, because she understood it mattered. It belonged to Elias's father, a mechanic, a builder, a man who believed skill mattered more than attention. Years ago, before Clara, before Ash Hollow, before life changed shape. His father had once told him something while rebuilding an engine together. People throw away things they don't understand. Elias never forgot it. Not after everything. Not after Arizona. Not after the career he walked away from. Not after promises made beside hospital beds. Some memories stay with you. Not loudly. Quietly. Like old tools. Like old grief. Like unfinished promises. Most evenings after work, Clara sat inside that garage while Elias repaired whatever project sat open under the lights. Homework, books, questions. Always questions. "Dad, how do engines know when to start?" "Dad, Why do people lie if telling the truth is easier? Dad, can broken things always be fixed? That question always stayed with him. Can broken things always be fixed? Some can, some can't. Some only become something different. Elias never rushed answers. Children remember rushed answers. He learned that early. Life had already forced Clara to grow faster than she should have. He refused to make her grow any faster. On a Tuesday morning in October, 3 weeks before everything changed, someone knocked on his front door. Not Clara, not a customer. Noah Barrett, neighbor, friend, former army mechanic, built like a man who lifted heavy things for decades. Noah carried 2 gas station coffees, one black, one with too much sugar. Same as always. They sat outside, cold wind moving through dry grass, sun barely climbing over distant hills. Noah looked quieter than usual. That got Elias's attention. Finally, Noah said it. Sterling Mobility bought another property near Route 16. No response. They're expanding again? Still nothing. Noah took a sip. They want Hollow Creek Road. Silence. Then one final sentence. They want your land, too. The wind moved slowly through the yard. Somewhere down the road, a dog barked. Clara's backpack sat near the front door. Forgotten for a moment, Elias stared toward the garage, toward old tools, toward promises, toward things people thought they understood. Then he finally spoke. 4 words. Calm. Certain. Quiet enough that Noah almost missed them. I'm not selling. Noah nodded slowly, because somehow he already knew. And 50 miles away, inside a glass office overlooking downtown Denver, someone powerful had already decided that Elias Mercer would change his mind. She had absolutely no idea who she was dealing with. Vanessa Sterling built success the same way some people build walls. Slowly, carefully, one decision at a time, one advantage stacked on top of another, one victory added before anyone noticed she was winning. By 46, Vanessa Sterling owned one of the fastest-growing automotive companies in western Colorado, Sterling Mobility Group. 3 dealership locations, commercial fleet partnerships, luxury EV contracts, corporate clients stretching across 3 states. Industry magazines called her visionary. Business podcasts called her relentless. Competitors called her something else. Most simply called her dangerous. Not because she shouted, not because she threatened people. Vanessa Sterling almost never raised her voice. That was part of what made people uncomfortable around her. She didn't argue. She calculated. Her headquarters sat 22 floors above downtown Denver. Glass walls, steel finishes. Perfect lighting. The kind of office designed to communicate something before its owner even entered the room. Control, precision, power. Large framed photographs lined one wall, each marked a milestone. First dealership acquisition, expansion announcement, industry awards, magazine covers, 20 years of momentum, 20 years of becoming someone people learned not to stand against. Vanessa arrived every morning before 7. No exceptions. Routine mattered. Discipline mattered. Winning mattered more. Her executive assistant, Lauren Pierce, had worked beside her long enough to understand something important. Vanessa Sterling listened more than she spoke, and silence around her usually meant one of 2 things. She was thinking, or someone else had made a mistake. By Tuesday afternoon, Lauren already had the report. Elias Mercer, age 42, widower, 1 daughter, mechanic, homeowner, no business partnerships, no major investments, no political influence, no social presence. Lauren placed the folder carefully on Vanessa's desk. Vanessa read every page, twice, then leaned back. That's it? She asked. Lauren nodded. That's everything. Vanessa looked down again. Something bothered her. Not the information, the lack of information. People always left footprints. Debt, ambition, connections, pressure points, something. Everyone wanted something. More money, more status, more security, more approval, more comfort. She built an empire, understanding one truth. People move when they need something badly enough. Always. She turned her chair towards the windows overlooking Denver. Traffic moved below. Tiny, predictable, manageable. Tell me about Hollow Creek. Lauren opened her tablet. 43 acres total expansion zone. Vanessa nodded. How many sold? 38. Holdouts? Lauren already knew. 5. Problem properties? 1. Silence. Then Lauren said the name. Elias Mercer. Vanessa stood slowly, walked toward the window, folded one arm across the other. A habit Lauren recognized immediately. Thinking mode. Dangerous mode. Market value offer? 2 offers already submitted. No response? Lauren shook her head. Both declined. Vanessa stared toward distant mountains barely visible beyond Denver haze. Interesting. Very interesting. People declining money rarely refused money. They refused emotion, memory, fear, pride, or attachment. And attachment could usually be moved. Eventually. What sits on the property? Vanessa asked. House, detached garage, 2 acres cleared. Family history? Lauren glanced down. Wife passed away 3 years ago. Silence. Longer this time. Then one more detail. Daughter born there. Vanessa turned. Expression unreadable. People often misunderstood ruthlessness. They thought ruthless people lacked empathy. Vanessa understood emotion perfectly. That was why she could work around it. She walked back toward her desk, opened Elias Mercer's file one more time. Mechanic. Widower. Quiet life. No ambition. No movement. No leverage. At least, that was how it looked. And Vanessa Sterling trusted appearances less than almost anything. 20 years in business taught her something. People hiding nothing rarely lived quietly. People who lived quietly usually hid something. Not secrets, capabilities, history, strength, or pain. Pain especially. Pain changes people, makes them stronger, or easier to move. Lauren. Yes? Background expansion? Lauren nodded immediately. Employment history? Everything. Financial history? Yes. Professional licensing. Personal assets? Past employers. Anyone he still talks to? Lauren hesitated, then asked carefully. Should I involve Donovan? Vanessa considered. Donovan Pierce handled corporate acquisitions, negotiations, difficult transitions, situations requiring pressure, not illegal pressure, strategic pressure, very different things. Not yet, Vanessa said. Lauren nodded. Meeting over, or so she thought. Lauren. She stopped, turned. Yes? Vanessa tapped the file once, lightly. People who don't chase money usually protect something. Lauren waited. Vanessa looked back toward Denver. Find out what he's protecting. 3 days later, Lauren returned. Expanded report. Arizona. That surprised Vanessa. Employment history, technical certifications, engineering contracts, industrial restoration consulting. Interesting. Very interesting, but incomplete. Large gaps existed. Years unaccounted for. Professional references unavailable. Former employers polite. Too polite. The kind of polite people become when saying less matters more. Lauren noticed Vanessa reading slower now, thinking harder. Anything else? Vanessa asked. One former co-worker answered. And? Lauren checked notes. He said Elias walked away. Walked away from what? He didn't say. Why? Didn't ask. Vanessa closed the folder. Something wasn't adding up. She disliked things that didn't add up. Across 2 decades, she built Sterling Mobility Group understanding patterns, predictability, human behavior. Most people were easy. Pressure here, opportunity there, time, patience, leverage, movement, simple. But Elias Mercer wasn't moving. And people who don't move become expensive. Thursday afternoon. Expansion projections meeting, boardroom, investors, future planning. 1 slide remained. Hollow Creek Development, projected growth, regional flagship facility, Sterling Mobility Innovation Center, largest project of her career, projected revenue increase, 27%, expansion timeline, 18 months, future secured, almost. 1 small red marker remained. Parcel 14, B. Mercer property. Board members noticed. One finally asked. Problem? Vanessa answered immediately. No. Confidence, immediate, controlled, the way leaders answer before uncertainty becomes contagious. Meeting ended. People left. Lights dimmed. Glass walls reflected city lights beginning to wake outside. Lauren approached quietly. Need anything else? Vanessa stared toward Hollow Creek zoning projections, property lines, future construction maps, expansion roads, traffic flow. Then finally spoke. No. Pause. Small. Measured. But I think it's time we have a different conversation. Lauren understood immediately. Different conversation. Not paperwork, not brokers, not offers, pressure, carefully designed, perfectly timed, perfectly legal. Mostly. 50 miles away, inside a quiet farmhouse outside Ash Hollow. Elias Mercer sat beside his daughter, helping solve 4th grade math homework, completely unaware that someone powerful had stopped trying to buy his land and started trying to move him. The dangerous thing about people like Vanessa Sterling wasn't that they underestimated people. It was that they believed understanding people meant controlling them. And very soon, she was about to test that belief against exactly the wrong man. The first truck arrived at 2:13 in the morning. No headlights, no loud engines, no dramatic noise that would wake neighbors or trigger curiosity. Just quiet movement under a dark Colorado sky. The second truck came 11 minutes later. Then another. And another. By 4:41 a.m., 14 broken vehicles sat across Elias Mercer's property. Bent frames, blown engines, cracked windows, missing doors, flat tires sinking slowly into cold dirt, a graveyard of dead machines, deliberate, precise, calculated. Someone had spent money to make a point, and whoever planned it understood something important about small towns. Embarrassment spreads faster than facts. 40 miles away in Denver. Vanessa Sterling slept peacefully. Her phone sat silent beside her bed. She never asked for updates during operations. Good systems worked without supervision. That belief built Sterling Mobility Group. That belief made her rich. That belief was about to fail her. At 5:15 a.m., Elias Mercer woke exactly the way he always did. No alarm, no hesitation. Dark kitchen, black coffee, oatmeal, routine, predictable, steady. Some people survive hard years by changing everything. Others survive by keeping certain things unchanged. Elias belonged to the second group. At 5:42, 3 quiet knocks, Clara's room. Dad, I'm awake. Good. 5 minutes later, she shuffled toward the kitchen, hair uneven, oversized sweater, sleep still clinging to her eyes. You have spelling today? Elias asked. Vocabulary. Prepared? Mostly. Mostly isn't prepared. I know. A tiny smile. Brief. Gone. Their mornings moved carefully. Not rushed, not loud. The television never played. No phones at the table. No rushing through moments. Life had already rushed enough things away from them. At 6:08, Elias grabbed his jacket. Cold air waited outside. Colorado mornings carried a kind of sharpness that forced people awake. He stepped onto the porch, coffee in hand. Silence. Then he stopped. Completely. The coffee never reached his mouth, because suddenly, nothing looked right. People notice when something appears, but instinct notices when something doesn't belong, and 14 dead vehicles absolutely did not belong. For several seconds, he didn't move, didn't react, didn't speak, just looked. A rusted pickup sat near the mailbox. A collapsed SUV blocked half the driveway. 3 damaged sedans lined the gravel shoulder. An old commercial van leaned sideways on destroyed suspension. Broken glass reflected sunrise. Cold wind moved across twisted metal. Every vehicle carried the same spray-painted message. For scrap, good luck. Behind him, the front door opened. "Dad?" Clara, still holding her backpack, still waking up. Then she saw them, all 14. Quiet. Completely quiet. Children sometimes understand when adults are pretending. Elias wasn't pretending. Not now. "Dad." No answer. "Dad." She stepped beside him, small hand wrapping around 2 fingers of his right hand, the same way she always did. Did somebody make a mistake? He stared ahead another few seconds, then finally said quietly, "I don't think so." Across the road, a screen door opened. Mrs. Delaney, 2 houses down, watching, then another neighbor, then another. Morning routines changing, movement spreading, questions forming, phones appearing, because that's how towns worked. First curiosity, then speculation, then certainty, usually in that exact order. Noah Barrett arrived 7 minutes later, still wearing work boots, breathing harder than normal. "Elias." Nothing. "Elias." "I know." Noah looked toward the vehicles, then toward the road, then back. "I saw trucks." "When?" "Night." "How many?" "Didn't count." "Company?" "Couldn't tell." Silence. Then Noah lowered his voice. "I think this wasn't random." "No," Elias said quietly. "It wasn't." By 7:14 a.m., someone posted pictures online. Ash Hollow Community Watch. Population 26,000. Attention span, immediate. Comments appeared fast. Looks abandoned. Code violation? Didn't know he collected junk? Property values matter. Town needs to handle this. Interesting. How quickly strangers build stories. How quickly people decide things. How easily assumptions become facts. Clara stood near the porch, watching, listening, learning. Not because Elias wanted her to, because life kept teaching early, again. At 8:03 a.m., an unfamiliar city SUV pulled into the driveway. Code enforcement, Ash Hollow Development Authority. A woman stepped out, clipboard, tablet, professional smile. Too professional. "Mr. Mercer?" "Yes." "I'm Rachel Collins." She glanced towards the vehicles. "Can you explain this?" "No." "You don't know where they came from?" "No." "They belong to you?" "No." "Can you prove that?" Silence. Not anger. Not fear. Calculation. Rachel adjusted posture slightly. People often did around Elias. They mistook quiet for uncertainty, then realized too late they were wrong. "Mr. Mercer, we received complaints." "Already?" Noah muttered. Rachel ignored him. "Residential code restrictions apply." She handed over paperwork. Official seal, municipal authority, compliance notice, 45 days, remove all vehicles, or face escalating penalties, property enforcement review, possible liens, potential legal action. Clara stared upward. "Dad." He read quietly. One page, then another, folded everything neatly, placed it inside jacket pocket. No argument, no protest, no anger. Rachel seemed almost disappointed. Do you have questions? She asked. Yes. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. Finally. Reaction. Can I have a copy emailed too? Rachel blinked. Yes. Thank you. That was all. Noah stared after she drove away. That's it? Elias looked toward the vehicles. That's enough. No, it isn't. Right now it is. Elias, I'm fine. Noah exhaled sharply. No, you're not. No, you're not. For a while, nobody spoke. Wind moved slowly. Somewhere farther down Hollow Creek Road, construction equipment groaned awake, life moving forward, completely unconcerned. Then Elias started walking. Vehicle 1, destroyed transmission, dead. Vehicle 2, frame damage severe. Vehicle 3, flood history, electrical corrosion. Vehicle 4, body collapse, not worth repair. Noah watched, confused. What are you doing? No answer. Vehicle 5, Vehicle 6, Vehicle 7, slow, patient, methodical, like a man reading information invisible to everyone else. Clara sat quietly near porch steps, watching him, the way she always did. Vehicle 8, 9, 10, then Vehicle 11. Elias stopped. Completely. Longer this time. No movement, no notes, no reaction, only silence. Something changed. Very slightly. Noah noticed. What? Nothing. What is it? Still nothing. Elias crouched lower, ran fingers carefully along damaged steel, looked toward wheel housing, rear structure, front alignment, not broken. Hidden, different, interesting, very interesting. What? Noah asked again. Elias stood slowly. For the first time all morning, something impossible happened. He smiled. Not happiness, not relief. Recognition, dangerous recognition, the kind that appears when expertise notices opportunity. Clara saw it too. Dad? He looked back toward the farmhouse, toward old tools, toward unfinished promises, toward things people throw away because they don't understand them. Then quietly, almost to himself, he said 5 words. They made a mistake. Noah stared. What mistake? Elias looked toward Vehicle 11 one final time. Morning sunlight touching broken metal, destroying shadows, revealing shape, history, possibility, and for reasons Noah Barrett could not understand. The quiet mechanic everyone stopped noticing suddenly looked like the calmest man in Colorado. Very far away, inside a glass office overlooking downtown Denver. Vanessa Sterling opened her morning calendar, completely unaware that somewhere in Ash Hollow, the beginning of her worst business decision was already sitting in someone else's driveway. People imagine hidden talent the wrong way. They think it announces itself. That brilliance walks into a room demanding attention. That skill needs an audience. Most of the time, real expertise does the opposite. It becomes quieter, smaller, harder to notice. Especially after life teaches someone that being underestimated can become its own kind of advantage. By noon, most of Ash Hollow had already formed opinions. The pictures spread faster than facts. 14 dead vehicles, 1 quiet mechanic, 1 property violation notice. People connected dots that didn't belong together. That happened often. People dislike uncertainty, so they fill empty spaces themselves. At Hawthorne Mechanical Repair, 2 customers asked Elias questions before lunch. Didn't know you collected junk cars? Town says they're cracking down. Heard code enforcement already visited. Elias changed brake pads, adjusted torque settings, finished paperwork, answered almost nothing. Not because he was hiding, because explaining yourself to people determined to misunderstand you rarely changes anything. Around 2:30 that afternoon, his phone vibrated. Noah. You eating lunch? No. Good. Why? I'm bringing burgers. You don't have to. Too late. 10 minutes later, Noah walked into the service bay carrying 2 paper bags. People talking? Noah asked. Some. You okay? Yes. No, you're not. I'm working. Noah sat on a toolbox nearby. That means no. Silence, hydraulic lift humming overhead. Impact wrench somewhere deeper inside the building. Routine noise, comfortable noise. Noah finally asked what he had been holding back all day. What did you see? Elias didn't answer immediately. That usually meant he was deciding how much to say. Not whether. How much. Vehicle 11, he said finally. Yeah? Something's wrong. I know. No. Elias looked up. Wrong in a different way. Noah leaned forward. What does that mean? It means somebody made assumptions. About what? The car. And? And assumptions get expensive. Noah stared. Same calm voice, same quiet expression. But something underneath it had changed, very slightly. The way pressure changes weather before rain arrives. Later that night, after Clara finished homework, after dishes sat drying beside the sink, after Ash Hollow settled into familiar evening quiet, Elias walked alone toward the detached garage. Cold air, dark sky, Colorado stars, sharp enough to feel close. He opened the side garage door. Lights flickered alive overhead. Shadows stretched across concrete floors. Old steel toolbox. Organized shelves. Order. Always order. Then he sat. Desk near the back wall. Opened an old notebook. Black cover. No labels, no markings. Clara knew not to touch that one. Pages filled with numbers. Measurements, observations, records. Years of records. He turned toward memory. Vehicle 1. Dead. Vehicle 2. Not worth effort. Vehicle 3. Flood damage. Vehicle 4. Structural compromise. Vehicle 5. No value. Vehicle 6. Parts only. Vehicle 7. Possible. Vehicle 8. Marginal. Vehicle 9. Poor condition. Vehicle 10. Minimal opportunity. Then, Vehicle 11. Silence. Longer. He wrote carefully. Not quickly, not emotionally. One line, then another, then a number. Circled twice. His phone sat beside him. Dark. Quiet. For several minutes. He simply stared. Thinking. Remembering. And finally, he made the call. It rang twice, then answered. Elias? Malcolm Reed. Phoenix. Arizona. 53 years old. Mechanical restoration consultant, former colleague, former friend, one of very few people who knew who Elias Mercer used to be. You busy? Elias asked. No. Good. Silence. Malcolm knew that tone. Problem-solving tone. Analysis tone. The version of Elias most people never met. What happened? Malcolm asked. Need your eyes. On what? 14 vehicles. Buying? No. Customer? No. Then what? Long story. Tell shorter. Very slowly, Elias began. Vehicle 1, condition, frame, transmission, damage profile, Vehicle 2, Vehicle 3, Vehicle 4, systematic, precise, no wasted words. Malcolm listened. Quiet. Professional. The same way surgeons listen, or pilots. People whose work punishes mistakes. 7 vehicles, 8, 9, 10, then 11. Hold on. Silence. What year? Unknown. Guess. Late 60s? Manufacturer? Hard to confirm. Frame condition? Original. Long pause. Longer than normal. Elias? Yeah. Paint? Multiple layers. Interior? Gutted. Rear structure? Modified. Factory? No. Silence. Elias? What? Read me VIN. He did. Nothing. No response. Then quietly, almost whispering, Malcolm said, No way. What? No chance. Malcolm. Read it again. He did. Long silence. Long enough that Elias checked signal strength. Finally, Malcolm spoke. Very slowly. Take pictures. Already planned. Good. Frame joints. Okay. Rear mounts. Okay. Suspension numbers. Fine. Everything. Fine. Elias? Yeah. Don't touch it. Silence. Malcolm. Don't. What is it? I don't know yet. But if I'm right... He stopped. Completely. And that bothered Elias more than anything, because Malcolm Reed didn't dramatize things. Ever. What if you're right? Elias asked. Silence again. Then quietly. You may have a problem. Pause. Or an opportunity. Call ended 23 minutes later. Clara appeared near the garage door. Pajamas. Blanket wrapped around shoulders. Dad? Hey. You coming in? Soon. She walked closer. Saw notebook. Saw expression. Bad day? No. Good day? Not exactly. She sat beside old steel toolbox, the same place she always sat. Quiet. Patient. Then, can I ask something? Always. Why didn't you get mad today? Simple question, not simple answer. He leaned back slowly, thinking, choosing carefully. Because children remember answers, especially the important ones. People can only take what matters from you, he said quietly. And only if you hand it over. She thought about that, the way children do, completely. What matters? She asked. He looked around the garage. Tools, work, home, history, promises. Then finally, you. Nothing else. No speech, no lesson. Just truth. She leaned quietly against his shoulder. And outside, darkness settled over Ash Hollow. Peaceful. Still. Ordinary. The dangerous thing about ordinary people is that sometimes they aren't ordinary at all. And 200 miles away, inside a downtown Denver office tower, Vanessa Sterling closed another successful day, believing control still belonged entirely to her. She had absolutely no idea that somewhere inside a quiet garage outside Ash Hollow, the first crack in her plan had already begun to spread. The first car went into the garage on Thursday, not Vehicle 11. Not the mystery. Not the one Malcolm Reed suddenly cared about. Elias Mercer started with something ordinary. A silver crossover SUV with nearly 200,000 miles, destroyed battery, failed alternator, bad ignition system. Nothing complicated. Nothing valuable. At least, not valuable to most people. That was the thing about Elias. He saw value differently, always had. Years ago, long before Ash Hollow, long before Clara, someone inside a restoration facility outside Phoenix had once asked him why he spent so much time on machines everyone else considered dead. He remembered exactly what he said. Because broken doesn't always mean finished. At 6:30 Thursday evening, after dinner, after homework, after Clara finally fell asleep with a science book resting open across her blanket, Elias walked toward the garage. Cold air, quiet road, lights glowing beneath the garage door. Waiting. The old steel toolbox sat exactly where it always sat. Some routines mattered. He rolled the crossover inside, closed the garage door. Silence. Then work. Real work. Not rushed. Never rushed. People misunderstand skill. They think expertise moves fast. Most expertise moves slowly, carefully, patient enough to avoid mistakes, focused enough to notice details, battery terminals, wiring harness, compression readings, fuel delivery, starter condition, one system at a time. Order matters. Process matters. Midnight came quietly. Then 1:30, then 2. Elias finally shut off the garage lights. Not because he finished, because fatigue creates mistakes, and mistakes create costs. Friday morning, same routine. Coffee, oatmeal, 3 knocks. Dad? I'm awake. Clara shuffled into the kitchen, hair uneven, still sleepy. You worked late? Little. You always say little. Usually true. No. Tiny smile. Gone. She noticed things. Always noticed things. On the drive toward school, Ash Hollow looked normal, people heading to work. Traffic lights cycling, Ordinary life continuing. Which felt strange, because 14 dead vehicles still sat beside Hollow Creek Road. Visible, heavy, present, like a problem refusing to leave. At school drop-off, Clara hesitated before getting out. "Dad?" "Yeah. You okay?" Simple question. Big question. He looked at her carefully. Children ask dangerous questions, not because they're difficult, because they deserve honest answers. "Yeah," he said quietly. "You sure?" "Yeah." She nodded slowly, opened the truck door, stopped, turned back. People at school talked. He felt something tighten slightly. Not anger, not fear, something else. "What did they say?" "Things." "What things?" She shrugged. "Doesn't matter." But it did. Children learned silence from adults, and Clara learned too early. Again. That afternoon, Noah Barrett pulled into the driveway around 5. The crossover sat outside. Clean, running, different. Completely different. Noah stared. "That's one?" "One." "You fixed it?" "Yes." "Already?" "Mostly." Noah walked around slowly, engine running smooth, no warning lights, interior cleaned, paint polished, no signs it belonged to a graveyard 48 hours earlier. "How much?" Noah asked. "Probably 4,200. Noah blinked. "Seriously? Maybe 45. "Elias?" No response. "Elias?" "What? How many can you fix?" Silence. Then, "Enough." Noah folded his arms, thinking, watching, trying to calculate something impossible. "You're serious?" "Yes." "You think this works?" "Yes." "You think you can clear all 14? "No." Noah blinked. "No?" "No." "What does that mean?" Elias grabbed paperwork from workbench, looked over numbers, parts, cost estimates, labor projections, math, always math. Then quietly, "I don't need all 14. Noah stared harder now, trying to understand. Failing, because he still didn't know. Still didn't know who Elias Mercer used to be. Still didn't know what Arizona meant. Still didn't know why Malcolm Reed suddenly sounded nervous. The crossover sold Saturday morning. $4,300. Cashier's check. Simple, clean, legal. Buyer drove away, smiling. Noah watched entire thing happen. "One down." "One down," Elias agreed. The second vehicle entered Sunday. Old work van, transmission issues, brake failure, worn suspension, harder, but possible, very possible. The garage light stayed on late again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, slow progress, steady progress. Ash Hollow watched. People always watch, especially after deciding someone will fail. By Thursday, community pages changed tone. Didn't know Mercer knew cars like that. Thought he worked small repairs? Truck looked new. Maybe he's flipping them. Can he do that legally? Interesting. Success changes conversations. Not character. Conversations. Thursday afternoon, another city vehicle arrived. Different department. Environmental compliance, inspector, middle-aged, professional. Clipboard, questions, oil disposal, hazardous materials, mechanical waste handling, complaints submitted anonymously. Again, Elias walked him through everything. Containment systems, storage procedures, drain protocols, documentation, compliance records, everything perfect. Inspector checked twice, then checked again. Finally, "You're above code." "Okay." Inspector looked around garage, tool organization, workspace design, discipline, precision. Then asked quietly, "You military?" "No." "Engineering?" Pause, small. "Long time ago?" Inspector nodded, understood immediately. Some skills announce backgrounds, without words. Before leaving, he said one thing. "Somebody really doesn't like you." Elias looked toward Hollow Creek Road, toward 14 vehicles, toward pressure, toward patterns. "No." he said quietly. They just think they understand me. That night, Clara carried something into the garage. Paper. Folded carefully. Dad. Yeah. Teacher made us draw important things. She handed it over. Elias unfolded it slowly. Crayons, colored pencil, simple lines, 14 cars, garage lights, one tall figure standing beside tools, and beside him, a little girl. He stared quietly, longer than normal. What? Clara asked. Nothing. You don't like it? I love it. She pointed toward the drawing. Mrs. Harper asked what you were doing. And? I told her. What did you say? Clara looked proud, completely certain. Building our future. Silence, heavy silence, good silence, the kind that settles somewhere deep, not because children always understand everything, because sometimes they understand exactly enough. Later that night, after Clara slept, after Noah finally drove home, after darkness settled over Hollow Creek Road, Elias walked back toward Vehicle 11, still untouched, still waiting, still hidden beneath years of neglect. He stood beside it quietly, flashlight moving slowly, carefully, patient, looking, seeing. The dangerous thing about opportunity is that most people only recognize it after someone else does. Elias Mercer recognized it immediately, and somewhere in downtown Denver, inside a glass office filled with confidence and projections and future expansion plans. Vanessa Sterling received a report. One vehicle sold, then another. Small numbers, minor inconvenience, nothing worth worrying about. She closed the report, moved on, completely unaware that while she was calculating losses, someone else was quietly building leverage. And leverage, when handled patiently, changes everything. Vehicle 11 entered the garage on a Tuesday night. Not because Elias Mercer had run out of options, not because he suddenly felt ready, because timing mattered. Always. People imagine opportunity arrives loudly. It doesn't. Most opportunities arrive disguised, hidden under damage, buried under neglect, covered by assumptions. The vehicle sat beneath harsh overhead lights. Dust. Oxidation. Old paint layered badly over older paint. A machine forgotten long enough that people stopped asking questions, which made it dangerous, because forgotten things often hold value nobody notices. Elias closed the garage door. Silence settled. Outside, Colorado wind moved across Hollow Creek Road. Inside, time slowed. Clara sat near the old steel toolbox, homework spread across folded knees, science workbook, fractions, vocabulary cards, normal life, which somehow made unusual moments feel even bigger. Dad? Yeah, you're staring again. Tiny smile. You noticed. You always stare when something matters. Children notice patterns, especially children raised by quiet people. Elias stepped closer, flashlight in hand, metal surface, rear quarter panel, frame alignment, wheel housing, slow, careful, patient, the kind of patience expertise creates, not hesitation, certainty. Can I ask something? Clara said. Always. Is this the special one? His hand stopped moving, only briefly. Maybe. Maybe means yes. Not always. Mostly. Tiny smile, gone again. He crouched beside damaged steel, flashlight tracing hidden edges. Most people looked at vehicles the wrong way. Paint, wheels, damage, surface. Professionals looked deeper. Weld patterns, frame geometry, component history, manufacturing decisions, invisible things, important things. His phone sat nearby. Dark. Waiting. At 8:42 p.m., it vibrated. Malcolm Reed, Arizona. Elias. Yeah. You alone? No. Kid nearby? Homework? Good. Silence, not nervous silence, focused silence. Pictures came through. And? Long pause, long enough that Elias stopped moving. Malcolm. I'm looking. And? Rear modifications match. Silence. Frame number 2. Silence. Malcolm. Another pause, then quietly. You remember Barrett racing? Elias leaned back slowly. Memory moving. Old memory. Deep memory. Arizona? Yeah. Prototype division? Yeah. I remember. Silence. 1 heartbeat. 2. Then Malcolm said it. Very carefully. Vehicle 11 isn't ordinary. I know. No. Long pause. You don't. Garage suddenly felt quieter. Smaller. Sharper. Clara looked up from homework, not understanding words, understanding tone, danger, importance, change. Elias. What? I think somebody dumped a Shelby development platform. Nothing. No movement, no reaction, which meant Malcolm kept talking. Late 60s. Experimental frame modifications. Performance testing history. Possible prototype conversion lineage. No way, Elias said quietly. That's what I thought. Silence. Then, VIN registry cross-reference came back. And? Not complete. Malcolm. But close enough. Elias slowly lowered flashlight. Mind moving faster now, calculating, connecting, rebuilding possibility. Value? He asked. Long silence. Malcolm. I don't know. Guess. Condition matters. I know. Documentation matters. I know. Elias. What? If restoration confirms what I think. Silence. Another pause. Then finally. 6 figures. Nothing moved. Garage, air, time, everything suddenly felt very still. Clara looked up. Dad? No answer. Malcolm continued. Need inspection. Need authentication. Need history verification. Need component validation. Need... I know what we need. Silence. Then Malcolm said quietly, You still think Colorado was hiding from your old life? Elias said nothing, because Malcolm already knew. Years ago, he walked away. Arizona. Engineering contracts, restoration consulting, elite mechanical systems, high-performance development work, money, pressure, travel, status, everything people spend entire lives chasing. Then life changed. Hospital rooms, promises, loss, perspective. Some people leave careers, others leave versions of themselves. Elias did both. He never regretted it. Not once. Call ended 15 minutes later. Clara walked quietly toward him. Dad? Yeah. Good news? He looked down. Sharp eyes. Her mother's eyes. Always her mother's eyes. Maybe? Maybe means yes. Not always. Mostly. Tiny smile again. Then she looked toward Vehicle 11. Can broken things become important again? Question. Simple. Dangerous. He looked toward steel, dust, forgotten history, possibility. Then quietly. Sometimes broken things were important the whole time. She thought about that. Children always do, completely. The next 10 days changed everything. Not quickly, quietly. Documentation requests, verification calls, old archives, manufacturing records, authentication specialists. Malcolm handled Arizona contacts. Elias handled restoration. No shortcuts, no guessing, no rushing. Because rushing destroys value, and some opportunities arrive once. Only once. Noah Barrett noticed immediately. You disappeared. Working. No. Noah folded arms. You're planning. Silence. You only get quiet like this when you're planning. Not true. Completely true. Still nothing. Noah looked toward garage. Then toward Vehicle 11. Then back. It's that one. No answer. Isn't it? Nothing. Noah exhaled. Fine. 3 days later, Vanessa Sterling received another report. Vehicle sales, property compliance progress, unexpected movement, 3 repaired vehicles sold, 1 pending, revenue estimates climbing. She skimmed paperwork quickly. Minor inconvenience. Manageable, expected. Lauren stood nearby. Need escalation? She asked. Vanessa leaned back slowly, thinking, calculating. No, not yet. You're sure? Yes. Lauren hesitated, then quietly. Background review updated. Vanessa looked up. Elias Mercer. What about him? Arizona records expanded. Silence. Engineering. Consulting? High performance restoration? Interesting. Very interesting. Vanessa slowly placed paperwork down. For the first time, small discomfort appeared. Tiny, almost invisible, the kind smart people notice immediately, because confidence works best before uncertainty enters. What kind of restoration? Vanessa asked. Lauren checked notes. Specialized systems. Mechanical development. Prototype reconstruction. Silence. Longer now. What else? Not much. That doesn't make sense. No. It doesn't. Vanessa looked back toward Denver skyline. Thinking. Harder now. Different now. Something felt wrong. Not dangerous. Not yet. Just incomplete. People who build companies learn one important lesson. Missing information becomes expensive. And somewhere outside Ash Hollow, inside a quiet garage most people never noticed, a forgotten machine slowly returned to life. Not because luck appeared. Not because fate intervened. Because knowledge matters. Discipline matters. Patience matters. And because the people who survive hardest seasons sometimes become extraordinary at seeing value where everyone else sees garbage. Vehicle 11 sat beneath warm garage lights. Changed now. Cleaner, clearer, closer. And for the first time since 14 dead cars appeared beside Hollow Creek Road, Elias Mercer finally allowed himself to think something dangerous. Maybe. This wasn't a problem anymore. Maybe. This was leverage. And leverage, handled carefully, could change far more than money. People assume pressure only moves in one direction, from powerful people toward ordinary people, from wealth toward struggle, from influence toward silence. Most of the time, that assumption feels true, until someone quietly changes the game. 3 weeks after 14 dead vehicles appeared outside Hollow Creek Road, Ash Hollow started telling a different story. Not because people suddenly became kinder. People rarely change that quickly. They simply changed what they believed. The fourth vehicle sold on a Thursday, an older utility truck, worn, unremarkable, reliable. Contractor from Boulder bought it. Cash payment, clean paperwork, simple. Vehicle 5 sold 2 days later. Vehicle 6 entered restoration. The numbers slowly changed. 14 vehicles no longer looked like punishment. They looked like movement, opportunity, momentum. Noah Barrett leaned against the garage doorway one Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching Elias work. You know what people say now? No, that's a lie. Probably. Noah smiled, small, brief. They think you're hiding money. No. They think you're secretly rich. No. They think maybe you inherited something. No. Noah folded his arms. You gonna tell me eventually? Eventually. When? When it matters. That usually means never. Silence, impact wrench, steel, movement, routine. Noah finally pointed toward Vehicle 11. Still there, still unfinished, still waiting. You sold 6? Yes. Why not that one? Elias adjusted a torquey wrench, measured, precise. Timing. Noah exhaled slowly. I hate when you do that. What? Talk like puzzles? No. Yes. Silence settled. Not uncomfortable. Familiar. The kind built through years. Noah finally spoke again. Town says Sterling Mobility filed something. Elias kept working. What? Licensing issue. Nothing. Apparently selling multiple vehicles triggers commercial review. Still nothing. You're not surprised? No. Noah watched him, carefully, then quietly. You expected it? Yes. How? Patterns. What patterns? Pressure patterns. Noah stared. The dangerous thing about calm people is that they often see storms before anyone else. That afternoon, an official letter arrived. Commercial licensing inquiry. Potential business compliance issue. Additional documentation required. Review pending. No penalties. Yet. Noah read it once, twice, then louder. They're doing this. Yes. They're actually doing this. Yes. Elias, I'm fine. No. Noah folded paper sharply. No, you're not. I'm working. No. You always do this. Do what? Act like pressure doesn't bother you. Elias slowly placed paperwork down, looked toward Hollow Creek Road. Then, quietly, it bothers me. Silence, because Noah knew that answer mattered. What do you do then? Noah asked. When pressure matters. Elias leaned against workbench, thinking, not avoiding, thinking. Learn. What? Learn. Noah frowned. Learn what? Everything. Silence. Then, pressure only wins when people stop learning. Noah stared. There it was again. The version of Elias Mercer most people never saw. The version built somewhere long before Colorado, long before Ash Hollow, long before loss changed everything. That evening, Clara sat at the kitchen table. Math homework, pencil moving carefully, focused, always focused. Dad? Yeah. Can I ask something? Always. Why do people keep making things harder? Simple question, hard answer. He sat beside her quietly, not rushing, never rushing. People get scared sometimes. Of what? Change. I'm not scary. No. You're not. Silence. Then, Mrs. Harper said hard things make people stronger. Sometimes. Not always. No. When then? He looked toward notebook beside the counter. School papers, work estimates, licensing paperwork, life, pressure, responsibility. Then quietly, when people decide to learn from hard things. She thought about that. The way children do, entirely. What if people don't? Then hard things stay hard. Silence, pencil moving again. Then, education helps. He smiled slightly. Yes. Mom said education matters. Sharp pain, small, familiar, not gone, never gone. No one can take what you learn, he said quietly. She nodded, very seriously. Then, I think hard things make us smarter. He looked toward her, sharp eyes, her mother's eyes, always. Sometimes, he said softly, hard things teach important lessons. 300 miles away. Vanessa Sterling stared at quarterly reports, numbers, performance charts, expansion projections, debt structure, nothing unusual. At least, nothing obvious. Sterling Mobility kept growing. Technically, revenue stable, expansion moving, future protected. Mostly. Lauren Pierce stepped quietly inside office. Need something? Yes. Mercer. Lauren already expected that. Updated report? Everything. Silence. Lauren placed paperwork carefully across desk. Vehicle sales, compliance records, community movement, licensing inquiry, financial estimates. Vanessa read quietly. Longer than normal. Vehicle revenue. Unexpected. Steady. Disciplined. Not luck. Skill. That bothered her more. People get lucky. Luck disappears. Skill compounds. What don't I know? Vanessa asked quietly. Lauren hesitated. Then, honestly? Yes. I think we underestimated him. Silence. Long, controlled, dangerous. People inside Sterling Mobility understood silence, especially this silence. Vanessa slowly closed folder. Not angry, not emotional. Worse, focused. What else? Nothing. No. Vanessa looked toward Lauren. People don't move like this accidentally. Silence. Find leverage. Lauren nodded, immediately. But something felt different now. Smaller. Harder to explain. Uncertainty. Very small. Very new. And Vanessa Sterling hated uncertainty. Back in Ash Hollow, night settled quietly over Hollow Creek Road. Garage lights still glowed. Vehicle 11 sat untouched. Almost finished. Almost ready. But not yet. Because Elias Mercer wasn't only restoring vehicles. He was studying, watching, learning. Again. Always learning. Public filings, commercial records, business registration history, Sterling Mobility Group, expansion loans, corporate debt, growth timelines, pressure points, patterns, always patterns, notebook open, pen moving, quiet, patient, methodical. The dangerous thing about education is that people underestimate it. They mistake learning for weakness, preparation for hesitation, patience for passivity. Elias Mercer knew better. Life taught him better. Because years ago, someone taught him something he never forgot. Knowledge compounds, quietly, like discipline, like trust, like resilience, like leverage. And somewhere inside Sterling Mobility, buried beneath growth projections, expansion plans, and confidence built over 20 years, something existed Vanessa Sterling hadn't noticed. Not weakness, exposure, and Elias Mercer, very quietly, had started learning exactly where it lived. There are moments in life when people realize they misunderstood someone. Not slowly, not over years, all at once, like a light turning on inside a room that had been dark for too long. 3 days after Elias Mercer finished reviewing Sterling Mobility's public financial records, he stopped pretending this was only about 14 vehicles. Because it wasn't. Not anymore. The trucks, the compliance notices, the anonymous complaints, the pressure, those things mattered. But pressure reveals things about people, about companies, about weaknesses hidden beneath confidence. And Elias had spent enough years solving difficult systems to recognize one truth. Every structure has stress points, mechanical systems, financial systems, human systems. The trick was learning where they lived. Tuesday morning arrived cold, Colorado cold, sharp enough to sting lungs, the kind of weather that made people move faster toward warm buildings. Elias woke at 5:15. Coffee, oatmeal, 3 quiet knocks. Clara opened her door, hair uneven, eyes half closed. Dad. Morning. It's freezing. Colorado. Not funny. Little funny. No. Tiny smile. Still there. Always there. Life had become heavier recently. She felt it. Even if adults thought children didn't. Children notice pressure. They absorb it, sometimes more carefully than adults. On the drive toward school, snow clouds gathered beyond distant mountains. Gray, heavy, waiting. Dad. Yeah. You thinking? Little. No. Yes. Big thinking. He glanced toward her. Big thinking. What about? Work. You worried? No. That answer came too fast. Children notice fast answers too. Mom used to do that. Silence. Not uncomfortable. Not easy. Sharp. Unexpected. What? Say she wasn't worried. He kept driving. Road stretching quietly ahead. Some grief fades. Some changes shape. Some simply learns to live beside you. Your mom worried plenty, he said softly. I know. She just didn't like fear-making decisions. Clara nodded slowly, looking out the window. Thinking. Always thinking. By noon, Elias sat inside Hawthorne Mechanical, phone pressed between shoulder and ear. Benjamin Holloway, commercial attorney, Denver, former recommendation from Malcolm Reed. Question, Elias said. Usually expensive words? Commercial lending structures. Silence. Okay. Bank loan restructuring. Okay. Corporate exposure. Longer silence. You're not asking random questions. No. No, you're not. Elias leaned back slowly, watching snow begin outside garage windows. Can debt create leverage? Benjamin answered immediately. Debt always creates leverage. Public records? Some. Performance benchmarks? Depends. Silence. Then Benjamin said carefully, "What are we talking about?" No idea yet. That's not true. Not completely. Long pause. Then, send me what you're looking at. That afternoon, inside Sterling Mobility headquarters, Vanessa Sterling stood inside a board planning session. Expansion models, growth projections, regional development, future, always future. Her leadership team moved slide after slide. Numbers, targets, confidence, control. Then, midway through presentations, CFO Daniel Reeves spoke carefully. Too carefully. Vanessa noticed immediately. Commercial lending adjustment finalized, Daniel said. Minor rate impact. Explain. Nothing major. Explain. Silence. Boardrooms reveal character. Pressure reveals truth. Daniel adjusted posture. Our third quarter performance targets remain important. Remain. Silence. Daniel. Our lending agreement benchmarks tighten beginning next quarter. Room quiet. Not alarming. Not yet. But quieter. Vanessa leaned back slowly, thinking, calculating, projecting. Future. Always future. What happens if targets miss? Silence. One beat. Two. Then. Nothing immediately. Not answer enough. What happens? Potential restructuring review. Silence. Longer now. What else? Monitoring measures. Daniel. Potential lending adjustments. Not catastrophic. Manageable, but not ideal. And Vanessa Sterling hated not ideal. Across Ash Hollow, Benjamin Holloway called back 3 hours later. Elias. Yeah. I reviewed records. Okay. Interesting company. Silence. Commercial growth aggressive. Okay. Debt structure expanded during interest increases. Okay. Performance benchmarks exist. Silence. Cold air moved outside garage. Slow, sharp. Waiting. Benjamin continued. Not weakness. Exposure. Same word. Exposure. Elias wrote it down. Notebook open. Careful handwriting. Patterns. Always patterns. What matters most, Benjamin said quietly, is timing. Silence. Then, timing creates leverage. Those words stayed, long after the call ended. That evening, Noah arrived carrying coffee. Again, routine, familiar, important. You look dangerous, Noah said. No. Yes. No. Elias. What? I've known you 12 years. Silence. When you get quiet like this. Noah leaned against garage doorway. Somebody should probably worry. Tiny smile. Small. Brief. Gone. You're planning? No. Lie? No. Bad lie. Vehicle 11 sat nearby. Almost complete now. Transformation impossible to ignore. Steel recovering shape. History returning. Potential growing. Noah looked toward it. Then back. Whatever this is. Silence. Don't lose yourself. That landed. Harder than Noah intended. Because Noah remembered. Arizona, not details, not history. Only aftermath. Only the version of Elias who arrived in Colorado carrying less than people understood. Not planning revenge? Elias said quietly. Good. Planning future? Silence. Noah nodded slowly. Good answer. Better answer. Much later, after Clara slept, after Hollow Creek Road settled into quiet darkness, after garage lights finally turned off, Elias sat alone inside kitchen shadows. Notebook open. Numbers, debt structures, performance benchmarks, commercial exposure, public records, Patterns, always patterns. Then something clicked. Small, quiet, dangerous. Not revenge, never revenge. Something bigger, something better, opportunity. He leaned back slowly, thinking. Future, possibility, direction. Then his eyes moved toward school paperwork sitting beside Clara's backpack. Math grades, science projects, reading scores, education, future, purpose. Not survival anymore. Something beyond survival. For years, life had been about making it through. Bills, loss, responsibility, one more day, then another, then another. But survival isn't destination. It's bridge, and bridges lead somewhere. People survive hard seasons. Then eventually, if they're careful, they build something from them. Outside, snow finally started falling. Quiet, steady, certain. And somewhere inside downtown Denver, Vanessa Sterling still believed pressure moved only one direction. Downward. From power toward ordinary people. She still believed leverage belonged to whoever held the bigger company, the bigger office, the bigger influence. She still believed control belonged entirely to her, and that belief, very soon, was about to become expensive. 6 months can change a life. Not all at once. Not in dramatic movie moments. Not with sudden luck. Real change moves differently. Quietly. One decision. One hard day. One disciplined choice stacked carefully on top of another. Then one morning, you wake up somewhere you never imagined. 6 months after 14 dead vehicles appeared beside Hollow Creek Road, winter had settled fully over Ash Hollow. Snow-lined sidewalks downtown. Storefront windows glowed warm against cold streets. People moved faster now, hands in coat pockets, coffee cups everywhere, life adjusting to weather, life adjusting to change. And Ash Hollow had changed, more than most people realized. The old farmhouse still stood near Hollow Creek Road. Same porch, same detached garage, same weathered driveway. Some things stayed, others didn't. The 14 vehicles were gone, legally processed, documented, sold. Every single one, including Vehicle 11, especially Vehicle 11. The final verification process changed everything. Not instantly, carefully, methodically. 3 separate historical reviews, component authentication, manufacturing registry confirmation, specialist evaluations, nothing rushed, nothing assumed. Malcolm Reed flew in personally, Arizona to Colorado, 2 days, 1 garage, 1 machine, and 1 long moment nobody inside that garage forgot. It survived, Malcolm said quietly. Elias stood beside him, hands folded, silent, the Shelby development platform. Rare, extremely rare, experimental lineage, performance engineering history, a forgotten machine hidden beneath years of neglect. Someone discarded history. Someone underestimated knowledge. Someone made a very expensive mistake. The final transaction happened privately. Collector network, verified buyer. No auction, no headlines, no attention. Exactly how Elias wanted it. The number stayed private, mostly. Ash Hollow estimated anyway. People always estimate. People always guess. People always build stories around incomplete information. Some said 50,000. Others guessed 200,000. One man inside a local hardware store claimed 500,000. Nobody knew. Nobody except Malcolm, Benjamin Holloway, and Elias. Which was enough. Because money wasn't the biggest thing that changed. Perspective changed. Direction changed. Purpose changed. Hawthorne Mechanical noticed first. You're leaving? His manager stood inside office doorway. Not angry, not surprised, just quiet. Yeah. When? End of month. Silence. You building your own shop? No. Consulting? No. Then what? Long pause. Elias looked toward repair floor. Engines, people, routine, good people, honest work, important work. I think I'm building something bigger. No speeches followed. Goodbyes rarely need speeches. The next change arrived quietly, like most important things. Ash Hollow Community Education Center. Old building. Former vocational training site. Closed 4 years earlier. Funding problems. Program failures. Budget cuts. Forgotten. Mostly. Elias bought it. People noticed. Immediately. Confusion spread faster than understanding. Coffee shop conversations. Community forums. Speculation. Questions. Always questions. Noah Barrett arrived one morning carrying coffee. Again, routine mattered. You bought a building? Yes. Why? Need it. For. Silence. Education. Noah stared. Long, confused, then, what? Education. You're explaining terrible. I know. Try again. Tiny smile. Small. Brief. Gone. Mechanical education, Elias said. Training. Scholarships. Trade certification. Noah stared harder now. You're serious? Yes. Why? Silence. Longer. Then quietly. Because survival isn't enough. Noah said nothing. Because suddenly, he understood. Or maybe, for the first time, he finally started understanding. 3 weeks later, Mercer Technical Foundation opened. Small, simple, focused, mechanical training, trade pathways, certification support, scholarship assistance, especially for students who needed second chances, or first chances. Clara walked beside him opening day. New coat, dark blue gloves, hair longer now. Growing, always growing. Kids do that. Quietly. Without permission. She looked around training space carefully. Tool stations, learning bays, workbenches, future. Is this yours? She asked. Elias crouched slightly. Her level, always her level. No. No? It belongs to people who need it. Silence, thinking, always thinking. Then why'd you build it? Good question. Dangerous question. Best kind. He looked around slowly. Students arriving. Parents, volunteers, possibility. Then quietly. Because somebody helped me once. She nodded slowly. Accepting answer. Mostly. Later that afternoon, inside downtown Denver. Vanessa Sterling sat alone. Office quieter now. Different, not broken. Changed. Growth pressure, commercial adjustments, expansion revisions, reality. Reality always arrives eventually. Sterling mobility still existed. Still successful. Still moving. But differently. More carefully. Smarter. Stronger in places. Humbled in others. Lauren stepped quietly inside. Community article published. Vanessa didn't answer immediately. About Mercer Foundation. Silence. Then quietly, leave it. Lauren placed newspaper carefully across desk. Vanessa read slowly. Trade education, scholarships, mechanical development, opportunity creation, community investment, no headlines, no attention-seeking, no victory speech, just work, quiet work. The dangerous thing about good people is that they don't build things to impress anyone. They build because purpose asks them to, and purpose lasts longer than ego. Very slowly. Vanessa folded newspaper. Thinking. Longer than usual. Then finally. Lauren. Yes. Schedule donation review. Silence. What kind? Education. Lauren nodded once. Understood immediately. Some lessons cost money. Others cost pride. Months earlier, Vanessa Sterling thought leverage only existed inside contracts. Influence. Expansion. Pressure. Now she knew better. Real leverage lives somewhere else. Knowledge. Discipline. Trust. Purpose. Back in Ash Hollow. Snow drifted quietly outside Hollow Creek Road. Garage lights glowed warm. Old steel toolbox still sat exactly where it always had. Some things never move. Clara walked inside carrying school papers. Dad? Yeah, I got 98. What happened to 2 points? Dad? Tiny smile, real smile, bigger now. Life allowed bigger smiles lately. She sat beside old toolbox, like always. Dad? Yeah. Can I ask something? Always. Were you scared? Silence, long silence, hard question, important question. He looked toward garage shelves, toward old tools, toward old promises, toward hard years behind them. Then quietly. Yeah. She looked surprised. You were? Yeah. Really? Really? Silence. Then, what did you do? He looked toward her carefully. Sharp eyes, her mother's eyes, always. Then softly, I kept learning anyway. Outside, snow fell quietly over Ash Hollow, and somewhere beyond cold roads, past hard seasons, past loss, past survival, something better waited. Not luck, not revenge. Purpose, and purpose, once people find it, changes everything. People talk about success like it arrives all at once, like one moment changes everything, one decision, one lucky break, one opportunity. But people looking from the outside almost always miss the truth. Success rarely arrives like lightning. It arrives quietly, long before anyone notices, long before anyone applauds, long before anyone believes it exists. 3 months after Mercer Technical Foundation opened, Ash Hollow settled into spring. Snow disappeared slowly. Fields turned green again. Morning air softened. Life moved forward, the way life always does. One Tuesday morning, before sunrise, before traffic, before coffee shops opened, before most of town even turned on their lights, Elias Mercer stood alone inside the garage. The old steel toolbox sat where it always had. Dark gray, edges worn smooth, years resting quietly inside scratched metal. Nothing about it looked valuable. Nothing about it looked extraordinary, which somehow made it matter more. Vehicle 11 no longer lived there. The Shelby platform had moved on. History restored. Opportunity transformed. But something else remained. Near the back corner, covered carefully beneath dark canvas, not forgotten, protected. Elias pulled the cover away slowly. Midnight blue paint reflected overhead light. Smooth, clean, patient. A different machine, a different story. Not rare because collectors wanted it. Rare because memory lived inside it. Clara stepped quietly into the garage. Hair uneven, still tired. Dad. Morning. You left early. Little. You always say little. Usually true. No. Tiny smile. Still there. Always there. She walked closer, hands inside sweatshirt pockets, looking toward the car. You never sold this one? No. Why? Silence. Not avoiding. Remembering. Because some answers deserve time. You remember your mom's favorite color? Clara looked toward midnight blue paint, thought carefully, then nodded. Yeah. She loved this color. Silence settled. Soft. Not painful, not easy, just real. Years ago, before hospital rooms, before hard seasons, before life changed shape, before Colorado, before Ash Hollow. Elias remembered driving home one evening, Arizona sunset, traffic moving slowly, music low, Emily sitting beside him, looking out the window. Quiet, happy. She pointed toward an old car waiting at a red light. Midnight blue, simple, nothing expensive, nothing unusual. I'd want that color, she said, if I ever picked one. Small memory, ordinary memory, the kind people think they'll remember forever, until enough years pass, until enough life happens. Then suddenly, ordinary memories become priceless. Clara stepped closer, ran fingers lightly across smooth paint. You made this for Mom? Partly. Partly? Silence. Then quietly, "Also for you." She looked up. Sharp eyes, her mother's eyes, always. "Why?" "Because some promises matter. Nothing else. No speech, no lesson, just truth." The best lessons usually arrive that way. Later that afternoon, Mercer Technical Foundation held its spring certification ceremony. 23 students, 8 trade certifications completed, 3 apprenticeships secured, 1 welding scholarship, 2 diesel technology placements, 1 single mother accepted into advanced mechanical training, 1 18-year-old who almost dropped out completely. People sat inside folding chairs, families, teachers, volunteers, hope. Quiet hope, the strongest kind. Noah Barrett stood near back wall. Coffee, always coffee. Watching, always watching. Benjamin Holloway came too. Malcolm flew in from Arizona. Even Vanessa Sterling arrived. Quietly. No announcement. No attention. No spotlight. She sat near the back. People noticed. People always notice. But nobody said much. Because some changes don't require explanations. Clara stood near stage entrance, holding small stack of certificates. Helping, focused, careful, growing, always growing. Elias stepped toward microphone. Not comfortable there. Never comfortable there. Some people chase attention, others accept responsibility. Different things. He looked out slowly. Families, students, possibility, future. Then quietly, "I don't believe hard things automatically make people stronger." Silence. Room listening. Carefully. "I think hard things give people a choice. No movement, no distraction, only listening. You can let difficult seasons define you. Pause. You can let them make you smaller. Pause. Or, very small pause, but you can learn. Silence. Real silence, the kind people remember. Learning changes things. Knowledge changes things. Skills change things. Education changes things." His eyes moved toward students, one by one, carefully, completely. "People helped me when life got difficult. I never forgot." Pause. "And none of us gets where we're going alone." No applause immediately, just quiet, heavy quiet, good quiet, good. The kind that lands before people realize it landed. Then slowly, applause. Not loud. Real. Much better. After ceremony, people stayed longer than expected. Talking, planning, connecting, building. Future usually starts that way. Quiet conversations, ordinary rooms, small opportunities. Outside, spring sunlight settled across Ash Hollow. Warm, steady, certain. Noah walked beside Elias toward parking lot. "You know something?" "What?" "You changed this town." "No." "Yeah." "No." "Elias." Silence. "You did." Long pause. Wind moving softly. Afternoon light stretching across pavement. Finally, Elias smiled. Small, quiet, honest. "No," he said softly. "People change themselves." Noah shook his head, half laughing. Still impossible. After all these years, still impossible. That night, long after everyone left, long after Clara finished homework, long after Hollow Creek Road settled into quiet darkness, Elias stood outside farmhouse porch. Alone. Stars overhead. Colorado sky. Big enough to make people feel small. Big enough to remind people some things matter more than success. More than money. More than winning. Front door opened quietly. Clara stepped outside, blanket wrapped around shoulders. "You disappeared." "No." "Little." Tiny smile. She sat beside him. Silence. Comfortable silence. Best kind. "Dad?" "Yeah." "People think you're really smart." "No." "Yeah." "No." "Okay." Silence. Wind moving softly through trees. Then quietly. "Dad." "Yeah." "Were people wrong about you?" Long pause. Long enough to matter. He looked out toward darkness, toward garage, toward hard years, toward promises kept, toward difficult seasons survived, toward life rebuilt carefully, patiently, quietly. Then finally, "No." She frowned slightly. "No. No. What do you mean?" He leaned back slowly, thinking, choosing carefully. Children remember answers, especially important ones. People saw exactly what was there. Silence. They just stopped looking too early. Nothing moved for a while. Wind, stars, night, life. Then Clara leaned quietly against his shoulder. And somewhere beyond Hollow Creek Road, beyond hard seasons, beyond survival, beyond fear, the future waited. Patient. Quiet. Ready. Just like it always had. And for the first time in a very long time, Elias Mercer wasn't surviving anymore. He was building. And that changed everything. Maybe that's why stories like this stay with us. Not because someone won, not because someone lost, not because success finally arrived, but because deep down, every person watching knows what it feels like to carry something heavy. Failure, loss, fear, regret, loneliness, the feeling that life moved forward, without waiting for you. Elias Mercer didn't change his life because someone rescued him. He changed it because he kept learning, kept building, kept showing up, even when nobody noticed, especially when nobody noticed. And maybe that's the part worth remembering, not the money, not the cars, not the business, the choice to keep moving, the choice to keep learning, the choice to build something good, even after life gives you reasons not to. Because somewhere tonight, someone watching this feels stuck. Someone feels forgotten. Someone feels like life already decided who they are. Maybe this story found that person. Maybe that's why you're here. And if that's you, remember this. People may underestimate your situation. People may underestimate your pain. People may underestimate your future. Let them. People stop looking too early. Don't you do the same to yourself. Keep learning, keep building, keep going. Because hard seasons don't last forever, but what you build from them can. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone fighting a battle quietly. Someone rebuilding, someone surviving, someone who needs hope. Because sometimes, one story, arriving at the right moment, can change everything. And remember, strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, strength wakes up before sunrise, keeps promises, builds anyway, learns anyway, loves anyway, and one day, without warning, changes lives, including its own.